We have new episodes dropping every other week. You can find them early on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, or wherever you find your podcasts, or find the link below for our Megaphone landing page, and we will see you around the campfire.
Hey, I'm Jess,
And I'm Paul.
and welcome to Campfire Ashes. Now gather round, pull up a log, and let me tell you a campfire story. Almost a year to the date, Beth whispered to herself, clutching a small framed photo to her chest. She lifted the frame and wiped a tear from her eye. It's time, Jared. Beth, it's almost time for the ball drop. Are you coming out? Her mother yelled from the living room. Be right out, Mom. Beth yelled back, sniffling. She sucked in a breath and placed the framed photo back on her nightstand, her gaze hesitating on the small girl with pigtails in the photo next to her. It's time. She got up off the bed and glanced back at the window right above it, checking to make sure the lock wasn't latched. Her plan would fail if she didn't leave the window unlocked. She'd open it a crack after her parents went to bed. Beth walked past the empty bed near the door, out into the living room to join the cacophony of different sounds, glasses clinking, people laughing, the TV playing in the background. There you are, sweetie, just in time, her dad said, putting an arm around her and walking her over to the couch. Beth half smiled at him and plopped into her seat. The living room and its raucous guests faded out as she stared out the window, watching the snow fall. This time last year, she'd been sitting in this same spot on the couch, noisemaker in hand, counting down the seconds to the new year with Sherry, her little sister. Less than a year apart in age, they were inseparable. Sherry was creative and wasn't afraid of anything. They'd fight dragons, meaning Mom and Dad, from their living room blanket castle, sail the seas from one of their beds looking for sea monsters, the family dog, Rusty. Anything Sherry could think of, Beth played along and followed her. But last New Year's, when Mom and Dad had tucked them both into bed for the night, Sherry, who used to have the bed by the window, swore up and down she saw a woman and her child in the front yard, improperly dressed for the weather. Beth could still hear Sherry's voice saying, "Look, Beth, come look. They're staring right at me." But Beth didn't go look. She told Sherry it's too late at night to play and she'd play with her in the morning. But Sherry insisted she wasn't playing. There was a pale-faced lady with long black hair looking into the window at her. Again, Beth told her she didn't want to look and she didn't want to play. She remembered turning over and throwing her pillow over her head when she heard Sherry unlock the window. "Sherry, this isn't funny. Go to bed," she'd told her. But Sherry didn't respond. "Sherry, come on. We're gonna get in trouble." Still no response. "Sherry?" Beth turned over and removed the pillow from her head. No Sherry. Only snow flurries wisping into the room from the open window. Beth hopped out of bed and ran to the window. Suddenly a strong wind blew her back off the bed, thudding onto the floor head first. That was the last time she saw Sherry alive. There was a blizzard for the next 3 days, prompting a state of emergency on top of the Amber Alert that went out for Sherry. Beth's parents took turns day and night going out and trying to find Sherry, to no avail. Once the blizzard was over, it turned out Sherry was still in the front yard in her nightgown, curled up, holding her knees. She froze to death right in the front yard, a few feet away from the window. Beth never saw her. The search parties couldn't find her in the snow piling up. None of it made sense to Beth. But it didn't have to make sense. Beth told her parents and the police what Sherry saw. Nothing ever came of it. But Beth didn't forget. So tonight, she'd leave her window unlocked and watch for the woman to come back. Ears ringing, Beth faded back into reality as the guests and her parents blew noisemakers and yelled, "Happy New Year," and cheered. A few hours later, after the guests left and her parents tucked her in for the night, Beth sat staring out the window, willing this woman to come, until she finally did. Face pale as the snow itself, lips blue in color, long black hair blowing in the wind, there she was. Beth slowly reached under her pillow for her dad's pocket knife she'd stashed there under the cover of the commotion from the party, maintaining eye contact with the woman, and slipped the knife up the sleeve of her nightgown. Beth climbed over the threshold and out the window. That same intense wind from the year prior blew the window shut behind her, startling her. She'd turned back to face the woman who was now towering over her. She was beautiful, like a perfectly sculpted porcelain doll. but her eyes looked unsettling, like they'd seen unthinkable horrors. Haunting. The little boy seemed to materialize out of the winter mist and appeared behind his mother. "Child, won't you give my boy a hug to warm him up?" the mysterious woman asked, her voice strangely soft and comforting. Beth looked from her to the boy, and before she could respond, the boy grappled her in a bear hug, sinking his fingers into Beth's arms like a hawk sinks its talons into its prey. Beth cried out in pain, gripping her dad's pocket knife ever tighter. The woman laughed a menacing laugh. Beth could feel an immense weight washing over her as the boy's grip tightened. She flicked open the pocket knife, and with the strength she could muster, she pressed the knife into the boy's stomach. The boy cried out in pain, an inhuman screech that rang in Beth's ears. He let her go, and she fell to the ground, white-knuckling the knife. The woman hissed at her, scooping the boy up in her arms. He was oozing black goo instead of blood. The woman let out an ear-piercing, glass-shattering screech as the wind picked up, swirling snow around them. Beth covered her eyes with one arm and held the knife out toward them in defense. Just as quickly as they'd seemed to appear, they were gone. Nothing but squalls of snow in the streetlights now.
Okay.
Not the response I was expecting from you.
It's creepy. It's a very unnerving story.
Yeah, so this one's a fun one. So this is I'm gonna butcher this even though I listen to the pronunciation, but I can't remember how it is now. A Yuki-onna, which is of Japanese origin, if you couldn't tell.
Okay.
Which roughly translates to snow woman. So there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of different like lore around her.
Mm-hmm.
But they all seem to pretty much encompass the same thing. She's a beautiful woman, super pale, blue lips, long black hair, wearing a white kimono that blends in with the snow. And in a few iterations, she doesn't leave footprints. So like most Japanese ghosts, there's no footprints left behind. But the lore originates from I don't even know how old this is, but like back to like when they used to refer to things as periods.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like really old. It has many different names. Most of them translating something along the lines of snow woman, snow daughter, snow girl. I don't know how to pronounce this one, but there's one that translates to snowfall hag, and I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm looking up for you too, and I'm just not seeing it. But
yeah. Well, I'm on the Wikipedia page right now where I'm getting most of my from. But then there are some where like the origin of this story, she's walking around with a child, and so the tale goes, she walks around in the snow with a child. Any passers-by, she'll ask them to hug the child. If they do, they get crushed by the weight of the falling snow and they die. Directly from the Wikipedia page, it says when one hugs the child would become heavier and heavier until one would become covered with snow and freeze to death. It has also been told that if one refuses, one would be shoved down into a snowy valley. So either way, you're going to freeze to death and die. But there was a story of a warrior who was asked to hug the child, but the warrior held a short sword by the mouth and hugged the child while making the blade go close into his head, which allowed him to avoid freezing to death. So when he handed the child back to the Yuki-onna, the ghoul gave him many treasures as a thanks for hugging the child. So apparently the way to avoid it dying is, hold a blade to it, but don't hurt it. There's so much lore that goes into this. I'm only barely scratching the surface by telling you what inspired me to write my short story. I could do so much more on this. There's so much that goes into this.
It's a really creepy. Like it's very interesting because like there's so much interesting lore that comes from Japan. So
Oh yeah.
I know this. It's such a weird thing. So basically, if you touch the kid, you become crushed by the weight of snow.
And if you don't, you're pushed down a hill and you become crushed by the weight of snow anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, have you ever seen the Always video from Erasure?
No. No.
I think the demon. I didn't know this until you're explaining it to me. I think the demon in the video is a Yuki-Oni. Yeah.
So that was something. I've always liked that song, but I never watched the video for it. But yeah, I would say that check it out. Check out the video. I would say yes, that is supposed to be a Yuki-Onna.
I mean, somebody can obviously like correct us if we're not, but like when you were talking about they're crushed by the weight of the snow in this video, which obviously has nothing to do with the song, which is I always laugh when those videos happen, where it's just like, oh yeah, this song is about love, but like no, we're going to have this weird Japanese prefecture culture from the 1700s, and then we're going to fight a snow demon.
But like, so it's weird because from so like the thought behind a Yuki-Onna is that it was like a young woman who died during a blizzard. You know, she was like out wandering in the snow and she died, like a beautiful young woman, and yet then you have this big giant demon looking thing in the video, and the casualty looked more like the Yuki-Onna than this thing. But
it could have been the creation of the Yuki-Onna.
Creative liberties.
Mm-hmm. Well, it could have been the creation of the Yuki-Onna. It was just like, I'm making this thing, and then he was like, no, you won't, because the power of love will save her.
Oh Jesus! Apparently, I don't know, but yeah, it's a lot more. It influences a lot more than you'd realize. Like I didn't even realize that, and you didn't until I brought it up. But for example, the White Witch from the Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay.
You could attribute to.
Yeah, I was thinking that when you were talking about it, I'm like, this feels very much like Narnia.
Yeah, you know, you could attribute it to her. There are certain iterations where she can just enter your home and fuck your shit up. She's just this super powerful being, you know. It's like during a blizzard, she just like waltzes her way into your house and is like, yo, I'm commandeering this shit, y'all are dead.
Mm-hmm.
There are other iterations where she's like a vampire and you have to invite her in.
Okay.
But then so there is this other legend of the Yuki-Onna returning to the human world on New Year's Day, which is why I chose that part of the story. And in this legend, she comes to take little children away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's after kids. So it's thought that she would, you know, like entice children to come out of their homes to go like play in the snow. On what's referred to as Little New Year, which I think is actually like the 15th of the first month of the new year.
Okay.
So it's not actually New Year's, but then there are other iterations where it is New Year's, and you know, creative liberties. But so she would appear without the child sometimes, and with the child sometimes, to children and like entice them to come outside. So like a lot of parents, you know, around this time of the year, like wouldn't let kids out after dark and wouldn't let kids outside alone. And there are also other stories where she entices men.
Mm-hmm.
Not just children. You know, there's a lot of lore behind the Yuki-Onna. And it depends on where you're getting your lore from, what supernatural power she has.
Okay.
Each prefecture has a different legend of her. But basically everyone does have a legend of her.
Mm. Yeah, well, she's very much Japanese culture, so like there's going to be like different iterations of her based on what areas you are. It's an interesting fractured uh, world that they had back then. But I mean, it probably mirrors the same thing with the U.S. That's why like we have such weird things.
Not to take it back to Bigfoot, but
Yeah.
Bigfoot sightings everywhere, and he looks different in each.
Mm-hmm. And then you also then you have in different countries you have Yetis and you have
Yeah.
Other kind of things. So like,
mm-hmm. But the one thing remains the same, that it has big feet.
Yeah.
So it's same type of deal. Each prefecture has their own version of her. Sometimes same name, sometimes different name. Story changes here and there, but she.
Yeah, there's always going to be that core idea of what it could possibly be.
Right. So she is associated with winter and snowstorms. It's in the name.
Mm-hmm.
The appearance is almost always described as a tall, beautiful woman with long black hair and blue lips, super pale, and sometimes even transparent skin. So she like blends in with the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned earlier, wears the white kimono to blend in. Some legends describe her as nude, and the only thing they see is her face. And then again, she's beautiful, but her eyes strike terror into mortals.
I mean, I would be creeped out if that like came knocking on my window.
Right. She can also transform into a cloud of mist or snow if she feels threatened.
Okay, so you can't kill her. Got it.
I don't even know if there is a way. Quick summary of the variations of her. Some notably described ones from the Tottori prefecture. There's water beggars. So it's said that the Okiana travels on the wind and appears on days with a light snowfall. I'm taking this directly from the Wikipedia page, by the way. She walks swinging a white gohi wand and shouts whoever she meets, saying, "Please give me water, hot or cold." And if anyone gives her cold water, she swells in size, but if they give her hot water, she melts and disappears. So it's kind of like there are certain origins where there's even like an icicle in her name, or like after her victim succumbs to the snow, icicles are left behind when she disappears. So this kind of plays on that. There's a variation from the Yamagata prefecture called the Moon Princess, where it's said that she's a princess of the lunar world living on the moon. Life is filled with luxury, but she's really bored. So she snuck out one night to go down to Earth when it was snowing, just to see like what was going on. But it was a lot easier to get to Earth than it was to go back, so she ended up getting stuck there, and just kind of wanders the Earth trying to get home.
Ugh.
Yeah, not vengeful or anything, but she's just stuck here.
Or at least that version of her.
Yes.
The other ones seem very vengeful.
Yeah, so Moon Princess, that version out of the Yamagata prefecture, seems very, docile.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of makes me wonder if there is some inspiration drawn from this for Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
There is a Moon Princess.
Okay. I still have not watched Avatar. Don't come at me yet.
Oh, I need to. I know you haven't, which is why I'm trying to relate it without like spoiling it for you, because it's like a big thing. one of my favorite things to come out of the show. So, it's you would really, really enjoy Avatar.
I know I would. It's just one of the. I just haven't gotten around to it, and then like I'll get sidetracked on some other series, and I'll end up watching like Suits all the way through for like the third time.
I mean, Suits is a good series.
It is a good series, but
that's kind of like me right now. Like I'm catching up on Stranger Things. I'm finally into season 4. I'm on like the 3rd episode, so I'm finally getting fully caught up on it.
All right, so you were fully into running up that hill.
We've only heard it once.
Okay.
So far, so not quite yet. If I think I know what I know, based off of my like what's currently going on in the episodes, what I'm predicting may happen. But yes, we are into season 4 finally. I have managed to go this far without getting spoiled. I might make it through season 4 without getting spoiled.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm doing it.
That is impressive because man, the amount of spoilers I had to dodge.
Yeah, TikTok's been tough.
Yeah, TikTok's been really tough.
I won't say I haven't been spoiled, but it's been like I haven't gotten any major spoilers. Like there are definitely parts that I probably could have gotten spoiled on that I haven't.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to try to do anything for you.
No, not to totally sidebar off of the main point of my story, but for example, whatever this villain is this season, not a clue.
Well, you've seen him by now.
Yeah, I've seen him by now. I know from their campaign in the show what it is.
Oh, yeah, Vecna.
But, yeah, like, I know that, but I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
Any of that. So, like, I managed to avoid all that.
I was like episode 3. You don't know the name's Vecna? Like,
no,
yeah.
You find that out in episode 2. So, so yeah. I'm about to start episode 3, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, episode 3 is pretty good.
Yeah, I would have watched it last night if I didn't have that stupid power outage. But anyway.
Dude, we both had power outages at the same time. It was really annoying. I see where my branch went down. Like I was driving down one of the side streets to get to the house. I'm like, oh, okay, there's where I lost my power.
Well, mine was dumb because I don't mean to keep sidebarring, but mine was dumb because it was literally just my street. There was nowhere else. It was my street. That was it. So, this next version hails from 4 Japanese provinces, and I'm not going to say them because I will butcher all of them, but it's 4 of them.
So this is basically like the overall version of her that people know, I guess?
Entirely, because there's another one that hails from 4 other provinces.
Oh, okay. So there's some crazy amount of diversity.
Yeah, there's so much lore around the Yuki-onna. So,
okay.
This version is called the Snow Vampire, where it is said that the Yuki-onna haunts snowy forests looking to feed, and she survives by sucking the vital energy out of the human body. So what happens is she'll extract the energy first by freezing her victims to death and then sucking it out of their mouth. And
okay.
So one of the specific prefectures, or provinces, excuse me, same thing I guess, but I don't want to be wrong, it said that she prefers children.
Oh no.
So, yes.
So kind of like the Ice Princess, where it's just like, I want to murder little kids.
Yes, exactly. And then the 4th and final main variation on her story that hails from 4 other prefectures that I don't want to butcher is the Talking Snow Woman. So she engages her victims in conversation in order to attack them. She'll meet them on a dark and snowy night, calling out to them, whatever. And if somebody answers her, she'll attack them. But if they ignore her, she'll throw you into a nearby ravine. So you're kind of fucked.
Mm.
So yeah, other than the Moon Princess being kind of docile, everything else kind of
Murdery.
yeah. She's a vengeful spirit. She's enraged.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's like the main like origin of her is that it was just like young women that were out wandering. So like are you mad that you were dumb or like?
I mean that actually is a lot. There's several other Japanese lore where it's basically just like an unfortunate woman does X and becomes Y.
Yeah, cause like I said, every single prefecture has their own like version of her story, and some of them are the same and some of them aren't. So like in some of them, she'll appear to trapped travelers in snowstorms, and she has ice breath powers, and she leaves them as frost-coated corpses.
Mm-hmm.
Other times, she's out there holding a child, and if somebody like tries to take the child from her so that they don't freeze, it's like a giant game of freeze tag, and they just freeze in place.
And they end up like crushed under the weight of a giant snowball.
Yes, correct. And then in other stories, she just invades your home. Like I said, she'll just come in, fuck your shit up, blow the door open with a giant gust of wind, kill you in your sleep. You don't even know about it. And then in other versions, she needs to be invited inside before that can happen. And I don't know what happens if you don't invite her inside, because I can't find that.
Hopefully nothing. Like I need a home base. I need the ability to not die if I come across one.
In other stories, specifically, she's looking for men as her victims.
Oh, awesome.
Like a succubus.
Okay.
So it's really depends on where you hear it from.
Mm-hmm.
But like
succubus are going to be like that's going to be such a labor-intensive story. Like the story itself is probably going to be easy to write, but man, the research behind it is going to be a bitch.
I mean, that's how it was for this. Like, there's so much that I could only fit so much of that into my story.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of trying to keep it short. But yeah.
Well, it was really well told. I liked it was kind of like a Goonies or kind of thing where it was just like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna
avenge my sister.
Yeah. So it was a fun story, but yeah, that's creepy. I don't anything that feels like it's a work of nature, and it feels like a force of nature that you just can't get away from. It always unnerves me. Like these stories are just creepy. Like sometimes a lot of these are very much like Jersey Devil and Ravenmockers and all these other things. Like they seem very easily avoidable. Mm-hmm. And like this doesn't. This feels like
you're screwed. It's a chance encounter, and it's just about luck.
Yeah, and it's like if you come across this, you're probably not making it out.
No. So there's actually been now this is from mythos.fandom.com about the Yuki-onna, which it's like a myths and lore, like folklore Wikipedia page. So it's kind of the same thing, but it's more specific. There have been encounters, obviously, but so an elderly man who was operating an inn on a mountain trail with his wife one snowy night was visited by a young lady who was traveling alone. She warmed herself by the fire and ate together with the innkeeper and his wife, was sweet and charming, extremely beautiful. And then in the middle of the night, during a fierce blizzard, she decided she wanted to leave. So the innkeeper was like, don't go outside, like it's way too cold out there, just stay the night, whatever, and then took her hand, like, to stop her, and she was cold as ice to the touch. Like, it sucked all the warmth out of his body just touching her. It was freezing. And even though he tried to keep her in the house, she still left, turning into mist, shooting up the chimney, and, never saw her again.
Did the innkeeper survive?
It doesn't say, but it doesn't say he died, so.
Oh, okay. So he made it
I'm
out.
assuming, yeah, I'm assuming that he lives to tell this tale. There's another one of a man from the Yamagata prefecture where he claimed to have been married to one.
They're new folks.
Said that, you know, his wife was beautiful, piercing eyes, skin as white as a marble statue, and while he loved to take long hot baths every night, his wife always refused to bathe, which he thought was, like, weird.
Mhm.
So then, like, I would think it's weird too. But so then one, like, particularly cold night, lots of snow and everything, he insisted that his wife take a bath lest she freeze to death. And she protested. And finally, you know, he continued to get on her about it until she just agreed to do it. And when he checked in on her a few minutes later, the only thing in the tub was half-melted thin icicle fragments.
I think those are the more unnerving stories that, like,
Yeah.
you just kind of go about your business, and when you come back, it's like, oh no, you'll never see this person again.
Yeah, and you never knew the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's that's pretty much it. There was one more, which is from yokai.fandom.com, which is another wiki page, but specific to yokai,
Mm-hmm.
where it said a long time ago there lived two woodcutters, Minakichi and Masaku. Minakichi was young and Masaku was very old. One winter day, they could not come back home because of a snowstorm. They found a hut in the mountain and decided to sleep there. Musaku woke up and found a beautiful young lady with white clothes. She breathed on him and he was frozen to death. So then she approached Minakichi to breathe on him, but stared at him for a while and said, "I thought I was going to kill you, same as that old man, but I will not because you are young and beautiful. You must not tell anyone about this incident."
And
So,
did she?
well,
Obviously they did. So he.
no, well,
Well-
then same kid, Minakichi, several years later, met a beautiful young lady named Oyuki and married her. She was a good wife and everything. They had several children and lived happily for many years, but she didn't seem to age. So one night he asked her, "Whenever I see you, I am reminded of a mysterious incident that happened to me when I was young. I met this beautiful lady like you. I don't know if it was a dream or if she was a Yukiana." And then after finishing his story, his wife suddenly stood up and said, "That woman you met was me. I told you that I would kill you if you ever told anyone about that incident. However, I can't kill you because of our children, so just take care of them." And then she melted and disappeared.
Oh my! Oh, so is it creep? No, there's a Tales from the Dark Side.
Okay.
Has an incident
Not
similar
Tales from
to
the Crypt?
no, not Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side. It was
Okay.
it was a TV series, but it was also a movie, and that kind of happened where this monster was just like, "Hey, I'm not going to kill you, but if you ever speak my name or you describe what I am, I will murder you." And then the next day, he finds this woman, and they end up having kids, and he's tormented by the thought of what this thing was. And one night, he breaks down and was just like, "Hey, I need to tell you about this one night." And she was just like, "Why did you tell me this?" And he was like, I needed you to know." And she was just like, I told you if this ever happened, I'd have to kill you." And then she turns into the monster and murders him. And I'm like, oh my god.
Stress.
Yeah.
Stressed. So then the last thing that I have on this, because I know I've been going on for a while. So there's a PlayStation 1 game called Yukiana. I believe it's on Steam. I think you could play it. But it's a PlayStation 1 inspired survival horror game. The description of it is: some children went missing out of the blue. You receive a letter that says, "Come alone or I'll freeze them to death." Out of desperation, you decide to embark on a daunting rescue mission to an abandoned inn up in the piercing cold mountains. So
Interesting.
I may have to.
Play that to see if it matches up with any of the lore that you just checked out.
I may have to play that, even though it looks terrifying. Hold on, let me check out the Steam store page for it. No, I do not want to see a trailer. That's okay.
Not this moment.
It has mostly positive reviews, and it's only $5. So.
Maybe.
Perhaps I shall play. But okay, so then the very last thing, so in pop culture other than the video game.
Okay.
There have been a few pop culture references. There was one episode of a Canadian TV series called Myth Quest that was based on the story of a Yuki and Monokichi.
Okay.
Which is neat. I don't know what this is, but the Toho Project? I'm probably butchering that. There's a character named Letty Whiterock, which is based on the Yuki-onna. Episode 490 of Detective Conan alludes to the Yuki-onna legends. And my personal favorite, you know Frostlass?
No.
It's, I'm looking it up on Bulbapedia right now. It is an ice ghost type.
Yeah. It's a Pokemon?
Yeah, Frostlass. Look it up.
Oh, okay. I definitely have seen this.
Yeah, that's based on the Yuki-onna.
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
I mean, okay, I can see it now. Like, looking at it now, I can definitely see where it... I can definitely see where it comes from. Like, it makes sense. Like, the look of this makes a lot of sense now, whereas it probably didn't before.
Right.
And if you look up the Mega Frostlass, that very much looks like the thing.
Oh, the Mega one?
Yeah, there's a Mega version of it. Look it up really quick, because that absolutely looks like the... I don't know if it's... Yeah, I don't know if it's real. I don't know if that's actually a thing.
Mega Frostlass Q is an exclusive Pokemon released as part of the 28th Mass Click Weekend. So I guess it is.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, that very much looks like the Yuki-onna.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
It very much looks like an Ice Queen.
I mean, I'm not surprised, because I feel like a lot of the ghost types derive from something.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know until I was researching this that's what inspired it.
Yeah, I'd imagine they probably do. Like, if we really kind of pressed and looked up Gengars and Haunters and all that kind of stuff, and like, I can't remember what the rest of them are right now. But yeah, they're probably all. Yeah, they're probably. Yeah, my brain was just like, yeah, those three. That's all you can remember at all.
The important ghost types.
I just like my brain. I haven't played Pokemon in a while.
I've noticed.
Look, man. We've explained why.
I get it. I got Arceus for my birthday, which, for anyone that doesn't know, my birthday is in March, and as of this recording, it is August. Haven't played it.
Really?
Haven't played it. Haven't touched it.
Okay, so I don't feel so bad now.
No, you shouldn't. I've been playing OG Pokemon Snap because it was ported to Nintendo Switch Online.
Okay, makes sense.
And Pokemon Puzzle League, which was also ported to Nintendo Switch Online. So, like, I've been playing, like, old Pokemon games that are completely, like, sidebarring from the point of Pokemon, like, you know, battling and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like, the fun little, like, mini-game Pokemon games are the games I play.
Now I want to go through and, like, look up every ghost type to see what it...
We could make an episode about that.
We could. Yeah, we could. Let's do an episode of just Pokemon ghost types and the origins of those things. Just do a Pokemon story.
It'll be like a sidebar.
That could actually be a thing. We could do guys, if you do want a Pokemon episode where it's just we just talk about all All the ghost
so
types.
now that I explained that to you, this is what I was telling you about earlier. I was going to do an episode about Lavender Town Syndrome.
Which is?
Its origin is a creepypasta.
Okay.
So it's 100% fake, but it's based off of Lavender Town from Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Which is why I'm like, the phenomena itself was fake. It was a creepypasta. I would obviously credit whoever created it, but it was based off of Lavender Town.
Interesting.
Which is why I thought about writing something about it, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to because it's, you know, it's not real.
I think we could.
Not
Well,
real.
I mean, technically, a lot of these aren't real, but
They are to me.
look, man, it's close enough. It's close enough that I don't want to. I don't want to open my doors a lot now because of all the freaking things people said to me on TikTok.
As the lovely ladies of Morbid have said, fresh air is for dead people. I have one of their merch shirts to prove it.
I love that line. I have not. Why have I not heard them say that? I listen to them like all the time.
They say it a lot.
Fresh airs for dead people.
As somebody who is 100% caught up on every single episode and is waiting for them to release, I would know.
I think one episode dropped today.
It did. Part 3. Check through for part 3. Shout out to Morbid.
Anyway, so we've said it before. We'll say it again. Don't forget, this is a bi-weekly series, but in the month of October, which this episode will probably drop very, very shortly there. The month of October, we're going to be doing weekly, both as a test run to kind of see what a weekly workload would be for us, and also we just like Halloween and we like spooky October, so we just want to do a bunch of stuff for it. So that's what we're going to do. So if you like what we're doing here, you're going to like it a lot more because you're going to get like 2 extra episodes for the month of October.
And remember, last one out douses the fire. If you heard something, no you didn't. And if you're here with us next time, that means you made it to morning.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.